Okay, so I'm here with Kathy Kilgannon. Kathy is an author, and we have been working together on a project for Merseyside Violence Reduction Unit, and we're going to have a chat about that project. This is our first podcast from People Empowered, and this project has been run in conjunction with Maximum Edge CIC. So, first of all, let me introduce Kathy. We're going to find out about Kathy's life as an author and how she's got to where she is now. This fantastic author that is writing children's books that we just love here. My children love them, and when I go into schools, they just adore the stories and the rhymes from Kathy. And we're going to find out a little bit about our project. So, Kathy, welcome. Our project has been working with over 60 children in St Helens, and we've been exploring art, illustration, and rhyme. Can you tell us about your role in the project?
Yeah. So I just felt, you know how you and I both met. We'll just touch on that for some of the listeners first. I think it was December 19, and I was in a school in Nut Grove delivering my book is Christmas cancelled, and it has seemed to happen that my session clashed with one of yours, and the teachers hadn't realised. And I remember coming into the classroom and seeing two grown men in rugby kits. I'm wondering, what's going on here? But if they asked you, would you hold off? Because the sessions had clashed. And I remember you saying, we'd like to sit in. And I was absolutely mortified, embarrassed, thinking, a grown man in a rugby kit is just going to laugh his socks off at me reciting all these beautiful rhymes. But, I got into the session and I knew within 5 minutes you really joined in with the kids and you're answering questions. And I could see straight away, I was like, this lad, he really appreciates, what I'm doing here. So that was great. And with a chat after that, and then an email over the next few days, and you said, would we be interested in any future projects? And here we are, all this time on. So the project, it's been an absolute privilege, to get a call from you a few months ago and get involved. It's been absolutely great. And it's consisted of what I've been involved in, 3 sessions delivered in each school, an assembly to introduce the project, and then a workshop and a follow-up session. So I've been attending the assemblies, hosted by your good self, to be introduced to the children. And during that assembly, a piece of work that I wrote is used. It's called Wise Old World, and it was written last summer, to help the children, understand the importance of staying at home and really being patient during lockdown. There are lines in it like, the doctors and nurses worked hard both day and night, asking everyone to help them to make the future bright. The doctors said, be patient. It's the best thing you can do. Please help the world. Don't spread the bug. We need this help from you. So it's a really, really great piece of work to help the kids, understand it was so important in lockdown that we're patient, and that gives an introduction. So we use that in the assembly to introduce my work and give the kids a taster of what we're going to do the following week. And then during the workshop is about an hour long, and in that workshop I introduce myself to the children along with an introduction of yourself. We tell a little bit about my story to becoming an author, and we talk about I tell the kids the things, my superpowers, the things that I'm really good at. And then I also talk about the things that I really struggle with. And I bat the ball back to your good self then. And, you do questions and answers to the kids about the things that we're really brilliant at and some of the things that we really struggle with. And what we're trying to get over to the kids is everybody on this planet is brilliant at something, and everybody on this planet really struggles. So that's the kind of message I'm trying to, get over to the kids. During that workshop, then we used 3 pieces of my work. The first is called My Favourite Place, My Writing Space. The second is Paint Your Life. And the third is When We Are in Lockdown. So these pieces of work, they're delivered on screen with some basic animations that I've done, but they're quite inspiring to listen to. My favourite place, my writing space, is a simple poem about me sitting in my favourite place, which is the garden. On a sunny day, that's where I sit and I write. But it's about my imagination. I'm sat in my own garden, but I can take myself anywhere in the world and I can be anything I want to be. So that piece of work, it's all about the children using their imagination and visualising their dreams. And then another piece that we use, Paint Your Life. And Paint Your Life is about really taking ownership of their life and making the decisions. You know, if you're in a grey and miserable mood, your life is grey and miserable. So that particular poem is all about colours and moods, and how we do have the choice each and every day to paint our life as brightly as we want to. Even with challenges, we have daily choices of how bright we can help to make our day. And then the third one, as we round up the workshop, when we are in lockdown. So that's when we are in lockdown, we did some real fun stuff. But when we were in lockdown, sometimes were really tough. A famous time in history that we have all lived through, with all our own experiences. We each have our own view. So it goes on, just as we bring the workshop to a close, it challenges the kids then to write a poem, write a story, paint a picture, or do a monologue on how they have felt during lockdown and their own hopes and aspirations for their future. And then the final session, the follow-up sessions, I actually haven't been present at those follow-up sessions, but I've seen some of the fantastic artwork that's come out of it online. It's really lovely to see what we've kind of made the kids think about, and yeah, there's some gorgeous artwork online. So yeah, that was my involvement to date.
Oh, that's great, Kathy. That's got 10 out of 10 for memory. I don't think a part of it. That's fantastic. So can you tell me a little bit about when your first aspirations of writing started?
My own thoughts when I first write. It's really been a natural progression. I have a very, very vivid childhood memory of when I was perhaps about 11 years old, and my eldest brother would be about 13. And at that time, he had a pocket money job working for the local milkman, who was a very funny man. And my brother was he's a very funny man, was a very funny boy at the time. And it was Christmas time. And I think my mum had bought a bottle of spirits as a gift for the milkman. But my brother was writing a card. And he just sat there and he wrote this 8 or 10 line poem. And I remember sitting there in absolute awe as an 11-year-old little girl thinking, how can you make things rhyme like that? And I wish I was feeling this really deep wish. I wish I could write like that. And who knows, I sent that wish up into the heavens that Christmas. Maybe Santa magically, took me on. He says that you would grant me that wish. Because I do remember that, and I remember I've got a lot of younger siblings as well, and I remember writing a little story about a rabbit that got lost in the woods. Now it wasn't a rhyming story; I hadn't discovered my talent, but I was obviously enjoying being the storyteller even at that young age. Now, jump forward many years. In 2007, one of my best friends got married, and all the girls came to County Cork in the west of Ireland for the hen party. And I remember I just wanted to make everybody laugh, because my friend was, she's a comical character as well. And I just sat down and I thought, I'd love to be able to write a little poem. So I just started to think about the things I wanted to say. And once I started, it was just the most bizarre thing, because I started to write about John and her life and some of her funny stories, and it just spilled onto the page and I couldn't stop. And 5 pages later, it was like this is your life in rhyme. So from there on, any time there was a birthday or a child was born, or everybody knew they'd get a funny poem from Kitty Kane. And then I remember my mum then quite suddenly passed away in 2010. And at that time, we had world recession. Ireland was in a terrible state, and I lost my job and decided the way to save my property was to rent it out. However, it enabled me to live a dream, and I went off traveling the world. So I went off, traveled for about 18 months, and came then to end up in Barcelona, where I got a job and lived in the beautiful city of Barcelona. But, and I love it, it's one of my favourite cities in the world. But I was really unfulfilled in my job. And I was sat there one day thinking about my mum and how suddenly she'd gone and what have you. And as a kid, she used to always say to me, "Oh, you must go off and fly your kite." And it was this whole line of "go and fly your kite." So I just sat there this day, bored in this job, and I just opened a new blank Word document and started typing. And I just put, "Mum used to say, go fly your kite. She has inspired me to write. I hate this job and I'm feeling crappy. And writing rhyme makes me happy." And from there, I started to just write and write. And by the time I returned from Barcelona, my sister had had a couple of babies who would very quickly turn from newborns into toddlers. And when they used to go and visit my dad's, who was a very, very funny man, he used to tell the girls of a fairy that lived in his garden, and her name was Fair Enough. And Fair Enough would always leave chocolate raisins by the back door for the girls. So, and the two little ones, this most beautiful little angels, they believed every word of this fairy coming to deliver chocolates. So I wrote a story about the girls going to visit Grandad's place, and she would leave. She'd mess up his kitchen, but she'd leave chocolates. And this lovely story I wrote for them. And my youngest brother, who teaches English in Sheffield, he teaches in a senior school, so he teaches A-level English. He was visiting and he got a look at this poem, and he rang me and he said, "That's pretty good, that." I was like, "Oh, thanks." And he said, "How long does it take you to write something like that? And how many times do you revisit it to edit it?" And I just said, "Oh no, it takes me a couple of hours." I said, "And I don't edit." And he just started laughing. He was like, "Seriously?" I said, "Yeah, it just spills onto the page, and the rhyme is just a natural thing." So he was like, "Okay, you've got to pursue this. You have to pursue this." So going back to your question, as you can tell, I waffle a lot. To say, when did it start? It started as a child, and it's naturally. I never decided I want to write. It just kind of has naturally happened, and the more I do it, the more I realise that this is just a real passion in my life. Yeah, and also like my dad, um, who we've also lost since the last few years. But my dad was a fantastic musician, and he's the reason I came back to Ireland. You know, my heritage was all Irish, but my dad played traditional Irish music, and he never played. He could never read music. He always played by ear, and I always used to wonder why I never had been given the talent to play a musical instrument. And I've come to realise I actually am very musical. It's just in spoken word, because I obviously have his exact talent of, it just comes to my ear. I can speak with a rhythm the way he can hear a tune and could be able to pick up an instrument and play it. Yeah. So it's a talent passed down, I think.
It's lovely. That really is lovely. Um, so, how did you get from that jump then from your little brother encouraging you to take it forward to becoming a published author? It's a massive leap.
Well, when you say it's a massive leap, I mean, I'm still waiting for a break, really and truly. Yes, I mean, I've published this beautiful book, Is Christmas Cancelled? Published that with a great friend of mine, Mick. But it's our own enterprise, really. We've been quite successful a couple of years, but we're aware now that we need marketing behind us. It would be wonderful to get a publisher. I've had a few big letdowns with publishers, but you just have to pick yourself up and move along. But how did it come to be? So I was just writing those poems for my nieces and nephews. And by this time, I was left Barcelona and I was back in Dublin, and I had a job in the city. And every day I had an hour's bus ride in the morning and an hour's bus ride in the evening. in and out of the city to my job. So in that 2 hours every day, in the morning, the evening, I would be sat on the bus writing or tapping a rhyme into my phone, and often just inspired by something funny that had happened, and getting to realise more and more that I enjoyed it so much, and several people saying to me, "You've really got to pursue this. You know, it's something you must follow." And people, sensible people that would ground me as well, that would say, "You know what, Kathy, it's great, but just leave it there, love." You know, but I wasn't. I was getting all, "You should follow this. You should follow this. It's good stuff." So I started kind of searching for groups, writing groups and things in Dublin City, and I saw an open mic night for poets advertised. And I was like, well, why the hell not? It's an open mic night for poets. I'll go along to that in the Dublin Writers' Centre. And it so happened that that week that I was going to the open mic night, and I hadn't told a soul, a great friend of mine from West Horton near Wigan, lifelong friend Mick, who had also through a different path come to end up in Dublin as well in adult life. He rang me to say there was another Wigan friend in town and we're going for a drink. Are you coming to meet us? And so it actually clashed with the night of open mic nights. I said, I'd love to come for a drink, but I'll not be free till 10 o'clock. So he's like, well, what's happening? So I told him, I said, look, I'm going to this open mic night. And he said, oh, myself and Sean will come along to support you. And I was like, oh, are you sure? And he was like, no, we'll come along. We'll come along to support you and then we'll go out for a pint. So the lads came along to the open mic night. And it was great. It turned out to be not the right setting for me. Not at all the right setting. However, I showcased my favourite piece of work, Animal Wedding. And when we got out for a drink later on, Nick said to me, he said, that was absolutely fantastic. And he said, I had no idea you had that talent. And as he took a sup of Guinness, he just put his pint down, he said, I'm going to illustrate that for you. So I said, oh, really? And I discovered a talent that, even though we've known each other a lifetime, I didn't know that he was a fantastic artist either, a graphic designer, an artist. So from there, he said, no, Kathy, so you've got something here. And so since then, that was 6 years ago, we've had many, many creative evenings shared together, sharing a glass of wine and him illustrating the work and me supervising and saying, no, I don't want that. But, you know, so it's lovely that, again, it's a lifelong friend. And in our childhood, it was Irish music that brought us together as friends, and our Irish heritage that brought us back both to Dublin.
Can you tell us about how your writing helps you keep balance? Because your life sounds like it's so busy, Kathy. So how does that help you?
I can honestly say to you, 100%, writing is everything to me, like everything. It totally, totally lifts my spirits. I mean, we all need to reach out, and I think everybody finds it hard to talk about if they're worried, if they're down, if they've got, you know, negative relationships going on with family, friends. Everybody finds it hard to talk. I think if you can have some kind of creative outlet, it really, really helps. Like, even for instance, like, I love baking as well. And here in Ireland, I've got a friend who's a farmer, and he's got a fabulous, fabulous, massive farmhouse kitchen. And a few weeks ago, I was just going stir crazy in lockdown. We're only allowed to bubble. I just bubble with his family, actually. You know, we've been in quite severe lockdown since Christmas. But one day I was going stir crazy, and I rang him and said, can I just come and use the kitchen? He was like, yeah, okay. And I went over in this fabulous, fabulous kitchen. About 4 hours later, there was cakes, there was biscuits, there was bread, and what have you. His fridge was full, and I'd had my creativity kick, you know, my high, and everyone was a winner. And I think I just need some kind of creativity. So whether it's baking, whether it's singing, whether it's drawing, whether it's writing, we really, really do need if you can express emotion through some kind of creativity. And I mean, my life has been very, very challenging with regards to my health. Um, this is real doom and gloom now, but I was 21 years of age when I had spinal surgery for an injury that had started at 19. And 20s were tough with problems with my back. And then as I turned into my 30s, I got the biggest shock of my life. And I'd been born with a heart defect that nobody discovered. And I had a bit of a collapse at work, and I was in heart and lung failure. So I had to have reconstructive surgery on my heart, but to save my life, really. And as if that wasn't enough, between the back and that, 6 years ago, just as I was writing this Christmas cancelled, I found a swelling in my abdomen. That turned out to be a cancerous tumour. So thank God, wishful thinking is my brand, wishful thinking. Here I am 6 years on, and I'm absolutely brilliant. But a few weeks after that latest surgery, before I went back to work, I was walking on the beach every morning. I'm absolutely blessed here in Dublin. I'm a stone's throw from beautiful beaches. So that's what I was doing every day for positivity and what have you, very much. Walking on the beach every day. But this particular day, I had my coat on ready to turn out, and I just thought I'd check my email before I go. And I saw, as I put my laptop on, I saw there was an email coming in for a writing competition called Second Chances. And I thought, oh, my name's all over that, Second Chances. I just had my life saved for the second time. And I sat down and thought, I'll just jot a few ideas down for a go for my walk. 12 hours later, I hadn't even taken my coat off, but I had spilled this story of my life in rhyme onto a page, and I had cried all day. And I suppose I learned so much that day that you need to express, get all the rubbish out, tell somebody, put it on a page, do something, because I had been so brave for so long. And now I'm very, very proud of that piece of writing. It turned out to be a fantastic rhyming story of a little shy girl who was always too scared to even be naughty when she was little. And then as life had moved on, she dodged death twice. And after dodging death twice, she'd actually she'd fulfilled a dream of learning of flying. Because when I was a little girl, I loved Peter Pan. I always wanted to fly. And after my heart surgery, 12 months on from that, so before I was ill the second time, I went to New Zealand and backpacked all over New Zealand. On one crazy, crazy day, I jumped out of an aeroplane and I fulfilled this dream of flying. So this beautiful story that spilled out, and I've only ever shown it to one or two people because it's obviously very personal, and I can't even deliver it even to this day without the floods of tears coming. But it was the most incredible therapy. And that day, I just learned so much that you've got to talk. And it might not be to talk. On that day for me, it was spilling it out onto a page. But for your mental health, you really... And now, I mean, when you say I have a busy life, I'm blessed in my day job that I can work from home. So I'm not in rush hour traffic. It's not too busy that every week, I mean, it's Friday today, by 6 o'clock, I'll have a glass of wine and my iPad and I'll be doodling again. And I know that, through some time every week, you've got to get a walk in, you've got to talk to a couple of friends, and you've got to do something for yourself. And often with me, that doing something for myself, it's writing a poem or drawing a picture. Just something expressing how I feel. I've written hundreds of poems that nobody's ever seen, but they're all special, and it's that's my time. So it's so important to let it out, and creativity is a great way to let your emotions out. And if you're letting your emotions out, your mental health is going to stay really well.
Can you tell me what the highlights of the project have been for you?
It's the children, isn't it? It's the children. It's so, we had one moment, do you remember, in one assembly where and I think it was to do with the security firewall from the school. We couldn't link onto the Wise Old World poem, and you and I were faffing around because we couldn't get, up on the screen what we wanted. And after a couple of minutes, I said, "Shall I just recite it?" And that's what we did. So the children didn't get the visuals, but I just recited, and it's about a 3-minute piece of work. And as I finished that last line, they just burst into applause. And there was like, I mean, that day there was a tear rolling down my cheek because I was like, wow, that for me is a highlight, that if you can reach out to children and if you can bring them in so much that they're totally engrossed in what we're doing, you have them then in the palm of your hand. And if they're totally with you, you can instill whatever positive messages, whatever else goes on in their life, whether they have great parents or parents that need help, whether they have no parents, whether they're getting bullied at school, whatever's going on, the good things and the bad things, if we can bring them in through things like this project. And I remember, like, on that day when they burst into applause, I was like, wow, they have been listening to me so intently for the last 3 minutes. So now, for the next half hour, we can mould them any way we want. And of course, we both know what we want to do is instill confidence. So that's the highlight. It's when you know that you've got them engaged. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. It makes me realise I should have been working with children all my life.
I'm really glad we bumped into each other in Nook Grove that day, because it's been a really good project for me to see the difference that it makes. We very often, with children, we go down the same route. We're pushing them academically. It's telling us there's a great sport tradition, and children get to highlight those skills and showcase those skills. But something different with the arts and the literacy that we've done with you.
Yes.
How the children have lit up, that has been a real highlight for me. So what is next for you and your writing? Most importantly, your alter ego, Kitty next.
Yeah. I suppose, I mean, like the whole world, we're all looking to get out of lockdowns and get a bit more, interaction. I live alone, so it's been a long old road this last 14 months. So I'm hoping, to get out more and more. But, and again, as we talked about mental health just a few minutes ago, even getting the call from you a few months back, I got bogged down in lockdown in my day job and just getting through the day. And you forget just, I don't forget the buzz, because I say I make that time every week to have some of that time. But it kind of, when you get involved in a project like this, again, it lights me up, because it's just like, this is everything that I'm passionate about. So I suppose it's like, as please God, the world is healing a little now, and once we're all vaccinated, we can get back into schools as well. But even the realisation of, look what we can do virtually, we can reach. So we've worked in schools in St Helens in the last couple of months, but we can reach kids everywhere with what we've done. So I suppose what's next is, let's focus on what we can do and reach as many children far and wide. And of course, keep writing the stories. When I was over at my friend's farm there last week, he has 3 new baby llamas. So, I'll be naming those, and there'll be stories of those, as there are stories of tortoises and elephants and giraffes. And, it's children or animals that always inspire me. So it's like, get back out there again in the world and be inspired to write more, but also hopefully be involved in more projects like this with you, and let's see what direction we can take it in.
That's great. Now, I'm going to put you on the spot now, Kathy. You mentioned before your favourite piece of writing, your favourite story that you've done, favourite poem. Is there any chance you could share that with us?
Yeah, Animal Weddings. Take me about 6 minutes.
It
is lovely. It's lovely, and it's a story about love, and of course we all need love. Okay. A giraffe proposed to a kangaroo. It happened, really. Honest, it's true. An elephant said, "Oh, heavens above." But the zebra confirmed, "Well, they've fallen in love." "In love," exclaimed the elephant, "but surely that's irrelevant. It simply isn't sensible. It's just incomprehensible. Mark my words, the whole world will laugh if Miss Kangaroo becomes Mrs. Giraffe." But Zebra said, "Oh, don't be stupid. Can't you see? They're struck by Cupid." Said Elephant, "I just don't agree. They should call it off immediately. Kangaroos belong with kangaroos. You can't just marry whoever you choose." Zebra advised, "You have so much to learn. Just wait until it is your turn. For now you might not believe at all, but you will see love conquers all." And so, without any further distraction, the wedding plans were put into action. Even the elephant was invited, and secretly he was delighted. The wedding day came and the sun shone down. Kangaroo wore a beautiful gown. There were daisies and daffodils in her bouquet, and it was Crocodile that gave her away. Giraffe looked smart in a pinstripe suit, accessorised with a cowboy boot, and the bridesmaids were koala bears. 6 of them walked up the aisle in pairs. It was Lion that conducted the ceremony in a clearing under the bongo tree, and even the vultures joined in the singing as the wedding bells started ringing. 100 guests sat down for high tea under a yellow and pink marquee. There were slices of ham and garlic mustard, then there was apple tart and custard. There was a toast with pink champagne, and everyone cheered them again and again. A chilled banana and lemon milkshake was served along with the wedding cake. They hired a band that could play jazz and all other kinds of razzmatazz. They even managed to find a cheetah that was both a magician and a fire eater. There was a monkey that could juggle, although at times he seemed to struggle. And a tiger with a pencil in his paws wandered around the guests drawing caricatures. A baboon asked Elephant up to dance, and instantly he was in a trance. Poor Elephant seemed to look quite dazed, as into the baboon's eyes he gazed. It seemed on this night with lots of dancing, there might just be some more romancing. Cupid once again had struck, and this time Elephant was in luck. They danced a cha-cha and a rumba. Then there was a clap of thunder. There was a flash and a bolt of lightning, and for those that watched it was most enlightening. For under the light of the silvery moon, Elephant danced a waltz with Baboon. He shouted out loud, "Oh, how I feel strange. I feel everything in my life will change." "Yes," said Baboon, "I feel the same way as well. It feels like we're floating to a cloud up above." Then they heard everyone else shouting, "It's because you're falling in love." And that's that. Take a bow. That's Animal Wedding.
You definitely do need to take a bow. I'll clap like the children did. Awesome, fantastic. So all it is left from me is to thank you very much, Kathy, not just for enduring this this Zoom call with me, but for the fantastic work that you've done in the project. The project couldn't have run without you. You've been invaluable. Thank you. Thank you to our funders, the Violence Reduction Partnership in Merseyside, and thank you to Dave and Katie at Max that have also made this possible. Thank you very much, Kathy. I can't wait till we see you in real life.
Thank you for it, and thanks for involving me. It's been great. It's been great, and hopefully a trip home to St Helens before too long.
Oh, yeah. God's country.
Okay. Yeah.
Take care. We'll see you.
Bye bye. Bye bye.
Bye bye.